Here's an interesting question for you. It's about homeschooling, and it's from Karen, and it goes like this. Hello, I have a question about using 1, 2, 3 magic in a homeschool setting. If my kids are just playing and one of them gets to 3 and receives a timeout, that is a negative consequence for them. However, if I'm trying to accomplish a lesson with 2 or more of my children together and one of them acts up and gets to a 3, then sending that one to timeout away from the lesson is not necessarily a negative consequence for him. It also creates a huge logistical challenge as to how I am to make up that missing learning time with that student. I'm wondering if I need to have some natural consequences ready to assign to them when they hit a 3 instead of removing them from that situation. What would be your advice? Well, Karen, it's a good question, and we can certainly see your dilemma. I think you're thinking along the right lines. I'm not sure if you really meant natural consequences, but here's a couple things that you could consider doing. First thing you could do is change your counting procedure a little bit and set up a behavior stoplight. It has a green, yellow, red for the 1, 2, 3. Then you have clothespins that you put on there depending on where the child is. And if a child gets a count, they move the clothespin from what we call a parking lot down at the bottom up to number 1. But they move it themselves. That gets them more involved in it. Now, if that movement is not good for the homeschool setting, you can move the clothespins yourself. Sometimes also what we do for a consequence, instead of doing a timeout, is you have a point system. And at the beginning of the day, the child starts with so many points, and then they can lose points for hitting timeouts, and those points can be cashed in for privileges or other good things at the end of the day. That's called a response cost system, but it doesn't require a child going to timeout. You can find more information about this if you're interested in our teacher book, 1, 2, 3 Magic in the Classroom. Good question, and good luck.